Hi everybody, this is Zeri, Persian pen name on AO3, here once again to read you some stories. I'm actually on week 24 of tracking my facial and vocal changes since starting testosterone. I completely forgot, I recorded a story last week and completely neglected to upload it properly, so that's a thing that happened. Come on, Trixie Pup. Come on. So what have I been up to this last week? I've been spinning and dyeing a bunch. I think I talked about this project last week, but I've got this heavy lace weight, maybe light fingering, chain plied wool silk blend that I'm working on. I've done one of the braids and the other one I'm just finishing up the plying. The other project I've been doing, I've got a couple of different colors of Blueface Leicester that I have dyed. I did these two various shades of orange, and then just in my various dyeing experiments I got these purple or lilac, gray, and pink as my dye mops, just whenever the dye pot would still have stuff left in it after the wool had soaked up, everything it was gonna. So then you put in some fresh wool and it sucks the dye right up, and it's only a little bit, so you can keep using that bit over and over. But I thought that those four colors worked really neatly together, so I did go ahead and card up a bunch of it. See that? It's really, you can't, it's not visibly well. It's not, no. But I carded up a bunch. It looks neat. I think it's gonna end up a mostly salmon color. We'll see how it do, and I'll probably aim for medium fingering weight, maybe a heavy fingering if I can wrangle it. And we'll have that. And if I can, I need to weigh, I don't know where the hell my scale went, but I need to weigh up how much I've got, because if I end up having like 400 grams, that's like a sweater vest in worsted. So, maybe I could make a real, vibrant, not particularly good-looking sweater vest. See how that do. I'm self-deprecating. I like the color blend. I don't know how much I would wear it as a main garment, but I'm having fun with it regardless. So this week I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. Instead of reading something from AO3, where blanket permissions are very easy to see if people have them on their profile. Gentle reminder, do try and put any permissions that you'd like to keep on your profile but this one is from Tumblr. I did contact the author and she said that I could read it, so that's fun. There will of course be a link down in the notes. So this one is called The Hearthstone God, by Dyce Writes, or Dicefic. Fire is out of fashion in this new age. Some of my kind have found new homes, new names, in factories or forges, in the hearts of wildfires or crystals or volcanoes. Most of us are simply forgotten. I was a fire god once, a god of gathering, a god of communion, a god of song and story. But there are no hearthstones now, no fires around which families gather to eat and talk and tell stories. I am lucky. I am tied to a great flat stone near a lake, A lake that has survived all the wild exuberance of men when they learned to change the world around them. Once this was a place where travelers stopped to rest. At first they traveled on their feet or on half-wild horses. Then there were carts and a road. Much later cars drove down the road, and the road was paved. But some things do not change. People need clean water to drink, and the spring here is good. They need to rest when they are weary. And even now, when they come to camp in nylon tents, to fish in the lake or to hunt the ducks, or drive camper vans to the flat place, their ancient instincts wake and they turn to fire once more. They will light new fires atop my stone, so flat and safe, from which no log will roll to set the woods afire. Not so many come now. Camping is less popular these days. But some still come. Some still light their fires and settle around my stone, and talk or listen to music or tell stories. So I survive, just barely, on the edges of belief. I feel it when things begin to change. Something is happening. Something is drawing old gods back. Not the great ones, risen beyond mortal understanding, but the oldest gods, the small gods, those who rose when humankind were still learning what they were. Far to the west of me, a god even more ancient than I wakes, and begins to hunt again. I remember the stories that were once told of that old serpent, and tell them over to myself in the long fireless nights. A god of prophecy, not of this land, settles south and west, and I remember tales of ancient ravens, their wisdom and their guile and their sharp, sharp eyes. There was a raven clan once who passed this way in the days of skin garments and stone tools, but I've forgotten their name. I only remember the symbol they wore, the black bird with its spread wings, marked in charcoal or charring on wooden talismans or leather garments. I wait to see who will waken next. To my great surprise, it's me. The people who come this time aren't like the campers. They come at night, a ragged family group with few blood ties between them, with a single tent and few possessions carried on devices I haven't seen before. Bicycles, they're called, slung over with bags the way ponies used to be. They come at night and hide when cars pass on the road. They light a fire on my stone with wood scavenged from the forest and huddle around its warmth. They don't speak much, not at first, but they say enough. They have no home, I learn. They are travelers of a kind I have not known before, who are allowed to stop nowhere, who have no goal but a place to rest. They are thin and worn and so tired, so very tired. They need a hearth. I am only a weak shadow of a god now, who once recorded the songs and stories of 1,000 generations in my ancient stone, but I am still a god of fire. Their fire burns slow, their little fuel lasting well. The food they heat over it sustains them better. The water of that spring, my spring, puts a little life back in them. This stone has laid in this place since great monsters walked this world, since before humans spoke words to one another, and I came into being with the first fire that burned on it. I am old, and though weak, I am not powerless. They stay. I cannot speak to them. I am old and weak, and they do not believe. But slowly, with the power of the fires they build every night, with the tiny offerings of scraps of food spilled into the flames, with their growing confidence in the safety of this place, I am able to do more. I give them dreams, and they find the cave not far away, where they can hide. They dream of fish, and begin to try to catch some. A woman remembers that some of the local plants are safe to eat, when I slowly wake a long-forgotten memory of a camping trip from her childhood. And then a child, a strange, quiet child who rarely speaks, a child without mother or father, in the care of an older brother who is exhausted to the very edge of death but cannot give up while she needs him. That child begins to hear. She sits on my stone, sometimes for hours, not moving or speaking. It worries the others, but at least she's quiet, At least she's no trouble, and they are beginning to associate their hearth with safety. So they let her sit. She is listening. She is listening to the sound of the water, to the sounds of the forest, to the wind blowing. And because she is listening, where no one else has listened for so long, I sing to her. I sing to her the songs of thousands of years, from the wordless music of the earliest people who sang what was in their hearts without words, to the songs I have learned from the fishermen with their radios and Bluetooth speakers. I do not know if she hears me for some time, but then one night, while they sit around their fire and eat food the oldest have almost certainly stolen, she sings one of my songs. In a cavern, on a canyon, excavating for a mine. She sings in a small voice. The others are startled, confused, for she hasn't spoken aloud since some bad thing they do not name happened, but one of the other older ones knows the song and sings with her. I've always liked Clementine. It's been popular with campers for a long time. The next day, while she sits on my stone, she sings along to one of the wordless songs the raven people, whose name I no longer remember, once sang. It's a lullaby, a soft croon to soothe an infant, passed from mother to mother, and she seems to take pleasure in it. She can hear me. She can even answer me as the voice driven away by pain and fear begins to return. And so I grow stronger still. Strong enough to make the raven sign on the stone, one day, in the ashes of the fire of the night before. She takes a half-burned stick and draws the sign on the stone. Pleased, I show her another sign, a leaping fish. She draws that too. Soon I need not shift the ashes. I can show her the pictures in her mind, and she draws them. She draws the wheel of a cart, and into her heart I whisper the stories the travelers in covered wagons once told over my stone. She draws a fish, and I make her laugh silently with the jests of fishermen who boast of fish who escape them. She draws a horse, and I tell her about the wild horses who once drank at this lake, about the men and women who captured and tamed them and rode them through the forest when it was far greater than it is now. She draws a long-toothed cat, and I show her the great cat that once slept on my stone, and denned in the cave where her new-found family sleep. One night, when all the others are asleep and my fire has burned down to coals, she creeps back to the stone and looks into the coals. "Who are you?" she asks. "Are you real?" She is afraid that the voice in her mind is the voice of madness, a lie created by a mind that does not work like other minds, that has endured great hardship. I do not want this child to be afraid. To instill fear runs counter to my very nature, save in whoever might threaten those my hearth protects. I am a god of the hearth. I am a god of food and communication and peace and safety. I am all the things that fire used to mean, before humans learned again to fear the thing that they had tamed. I do not often take a form, for fire is my form, but for her, I must try. There was a wise woman once who knew me, whose clan visited this lake several times every year. I watched her grow up and grow old. I watched her learn of the god of the Firestone, and I watched her teach others. She slept beside me as a child and as a woman. She sang her children to sleep beside me, and her grandchildren, and dozed beside me as an old, old woman. To her, I was represented by the sign of a flame in an oval, a fire and a stone. I build a likeness of her out of the light of the coals and the shadows of smoke, a child with straight dark hair and a simple tunic, and in lines of light I draw the sign of the fire and the stone on the outlined chest. I am the fire, I tell her, and the stone. I am all the fires that have ever burned here, all the stories told, all the songs sung, all the meals eaten. I am the traveler's hearth, and the rest for the weary, and this is my place. Piedra de Fuego, she says, tracing the symbol with her finger in the air. The Firestone. Yes, I am the god of this place. She frowns at this. My brother says that God is in the sky. Many gods are in the sky. I cannot continue to hold the form of the girl, but the coals shift to make my sign. I am not. I am here. I have always been here, since the first people built a fire on my stone and warmed themselves. She nods slowly. You are a small god, she says thoughtfully. A place god, like in movies. Yes. I've heard of movies, which are a new way of telling old stories. Old places, important places, often have gods, and gods who are forgotten return to their old places and wait until someone believes again. Will you protect us? She asks. When the police come to tell us to move on? I'm not strong, I tell her sadly. I cannot make men go away from here if they are dangerous, or even call game here for you as I once did. But what I can do, I will do. She sits watching the coals for a long time, thinking. Can we make you stronger? I think too, and she waits patiently. You've already made me stronger. You listened. You believed. If you can convince the others to believe, that will make me stronger still. She sighed. They don't believe in anything anymore. Not good things. It is a sad thing that she knows that. They've been trying to hide it from her. Then, I tell her, that means that there is a place in their hearts that is ready for me. I am not hope. I am not a happy ending. I am not a god in the sky. I am a stone, and a fire, and a song. I am real. They can believe in what is real. The next night, she asks for a story, and one of the adults tells her an old fairy tale from a country far away. The next night again, she asks for a story, and another adult tells a funny story about his childhood. On the third night, she asks her brother to tell her a story. He tries, but he is so tired, not physically but emotionally, that he runs out of words. So she lays her hand on his arm and offers to tell him a story instead. And she tells them all a story about a stone near a lake, flat and strong, that people wearing uncured skins and carrying flint weapons built a fire on. She tells of centuries passing, of people coming to the lake on their feet, on horses, in carts and wagons, in cars and motorhomes, of thousands of years of fires, of people gathered around them, of the great continuity of humanity, and the Piedra de Fuego that has lain in this place since time began, listening to the stories and the songs and the voices of people long gone. Somewhere in the stone, she says, laying her hand on it, all those stories are remembered, all those songs are still sung, and it will remember us, too. I don't know if it'll work, but I was right. People need to believe in something. They need something to hold on to when times are hard, when the ties of community and family are broken and they feel alone. And a stone thousands of years old, and a fire endlessly renewed on that stone, always new. That's real. They touch me and think of those who came before, of thousands of years of history meeting them in this place, and they feel less alone. It's not much, not yet, but it is something. My nature, my existence, as explained to them by my small, strange priestess, is a slender lifeline flung to those who are adrift, a tiny certainty in a world they do not trust. And the more they believe in that lifeline, that certainty, then the more they believe in me. I am growing stronger. When the police come, I will not be able to make them leave. But I think I am strong enough now to hide my people from their unkind eyes. And if I can do that, then their faith will grow. Tonight, 3 more people come. A mother and her 2 children, weary and beaten down with hardship. My people welcome them, give them fish and greens grown down by the lake, speak kindly to them. And when they have eaten, my little priestess sits between the 2 children and tells them a story of a stone and a fire, and thousands of years of stories and songs, and she sings a wordless lullaby 6,000 years forgotten, but living again in a child who draws the sign of the raven in the dirt while she sings, and the sign of the fire on the stone, and I grow a little stronger. I like this one very much. This is a sequel to The God of Prophecy and The Serpent God of Protection, both also by the same author. I really do recommend it. I've followed this Tumblr for a long time. I have no idea. I don't remember anymore how long. But it's very good, and I always like to see their things. So, this is a shorter video this week. I've actually been cooking this whole time. I made fesenjan, which is a Persian chicken pomegranate walnut stew. I put too much water, a lot too much water in, so it's been cooking down for like 2 hours now, apparently. But it should be ready, and I'm excited because I haven't had it in over a decade. So that's one of the things that my own mom used to make for me when I was little, whenever we had just like important times, birthdays and graduations and all that sort of thing. So I really like it. I haven't made it in forever. Takes a damn long while to make. But I'm going to go enjoy my own, link to community. As I'm reminded with this story. So, yeah, have fun, be safe, be good, cause good trouble, and I will see you guys next week. And I will actually upload both this and last week's stories. Alrighty, goodbye.